Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to deliver it.
Greetings and salutations.
No, we're done with that.
Oh, that was
But this is still an Agile Product Owners podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, time to deliver it. You said come up with something new.
You did.
So I came up with something new.
You rose to the challenge.
There you go. So that is Kim. I'm Cory.
We're going to deliver it.
Yes. See, now you've screwed up the intro. Now I don't know what to do anymore.
No, I think that's awesome. I think you
like
should try a new intro every single podcast.
Okay. You're doing the next one, though.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Great. I can't wait.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, aside from my being chastised about my show intro skills,
I didn't expect that.
I'm rather well.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, today's a happy day.
Podcast day?
How did you know?
The look in your eye said...
What's the twinkling?
It's podcast day. So I said, let's go with that. Not that it's anything else.
They were twinkling.
Today.
Podcast twinkles.
Podcast day. So...
What have you been up to?
Well, I don't know how to put this, but I've been pitching things. I've been pitching ideas and thoughts and trying to sell some...
To whom?
Some things to people. You know, just people, random
just the
people, developers,
general public, people on the
people
street.
in charge, pitching ideas. Some of them have been successful. Some of them have not yet.
Land it with a thud.
Yes. Kind of looking at the rabbit there with,
P.O. Bunny.
just dead eyes.
His dead red eyes.
But they are freakishly red. But one of the things I've been reading a lot about is the lean startup stuff with Eric Ries and doing the build, measure, learn cycle, and reading more about that. And I'd read the book a long time ago, but getting back into it more, and then using that as part of my pitch in one of my decks was, this is what we need to do. We need to learn about something. We need to build something. We need to measure that, and then we need to learn from that, and then keep going. So I like that cycle, or that circle, whichever you want to call it. But yeah, so I've been exploring that a lot.
Good.
And learning more about that.
Mm-hmm. You've been very introspective lately.
I have. I should stop. I should actually do something.
Well, I mean, you're learning.
Yeah.
You're building.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm slammed.
You're slammed.
Work is going good. I can't really complain. Everything's happy. We're starting up a new release soon. And I'm way ahead of the game, which always makes me very
Good
happy.
for you.
So you know how I'm all about running ahead?
Be prepared, yes.
I am way ahead. Like, they can't even see me. I'm so far ahead.
You should come back.
I know. Like, I don't see you.
Don't go over the
See you
horizon.
later. Horizon.
I did it.
You couldn't help yourself.
I'm sorry.
Horizon was the application that Cory and
Yes,
I
of
worked on.
course.
For those that don't know.
So you're coming back. You're
Not really. I'm still running ahead, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm laughing all the way.
But you're doing it in a helpful
No,
manner.
it's been great. So I've been working on some stories. I've been getting a lot of design sessions underway.
Good.
And the team and I have been answering some questions and just making sure that we all know what's expected of us and how we're going to achieve the requirements that are set upon us. And It's been really good.
Good.
I know.
Very
And that makes
good.
for a happy PO.
So I have an article that is very interesting related to what you're doing and
Really?
what I'm doing.
Running?
That is about making sure that you have executive sponsors on your project, especially in large organizations. You need to have somebody that's got your back, or it's got a business thing that is pushing, and they're pushing it with you, but you've got their sponsor. There's a blog on version 1 site that has links to about 6 different sources for resources to help you be a better executive sponsor. So this is stuff for the sponsors, but you as product owners, since you're going to be working a lot with them and very closely with them, it helps to understand what they're looking to get out of the project and things they're looking to get out of you in particular. So there's a great one by Harvard Business Review, how to innovate with an executive. So lots of really cool things there. Some of the suggestions, seed in experiments. So when I talk about that build, learn, and measure cycle, it's to do that over experiments. Mm-hmm. Stop saying prototypes, stop saying Early design, say experiments, and talk about experiments that you're running.
I like the word experiments
I do
because
too.
it feels very non-committal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's almost like, no, it was just experimental.
Well, and if it doesn't work,
It was just an experiment.
it's just an experiment.
I was just trying something out.
That's right. And let's try it again. So
I like it.
I like that one. Small victories. Look for small victories that you can push, that you can celebrate, and that you can hit. So look for things that you can actually accomplish. Have a grand vision, but a simple plan. I like that too. It's like, here's where we're going to go, and here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to accomplish that. I like that. Don't pilot mini tests. So build, learn, measure. And then what information is likely to get them invested in that project? What successes are they going to want to see? What kind of measures, validations do they want in order to make it repeatable?
Who is they in this context?
The executive sponsor.
Okay.
Yeah. What do they want to get out of this project, or what types of things are they interested in, so that you, as the product owner, can make sure to drive that through both your stories, through the delivery, through the release, through the feedback mechanisms, that you can start to, give them that information they're seeking, and help them support it.
That's very good.
I like that article. It's a different take to it.
How long was that article?
It's very short, Kim.
I can read that one.
You can read.
Maybe I'll read that later.
It's not a book. It's not. It's probably
Are you reading?
Page or two.
Are you reading any books right now?
I alternate books. I have
Meaning that you never finish any?
No, that's not what I mean. I read a business book, and then I read a fun book, and then I read a business book, and then I read a fun book.
But you actually finish the books. You don't have like 2 or 3 going on at the same time.
No. I try to keep a single.
You don't
book
multitask
track.
your book reading?
Not that way, no. I probably would lose focus on something or
Yes.
forget part of the story in one of them. So, yeah, there you go. So,
All right.
How to innovate with an executive.
Yay, internet.
Yay. All right. Yay, internet. Why not? And yay for our topic today.
I love this topic.
Sprint planning.
Plan your sprints.
Or iteration planning, or just planning in general. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be where the team gets together. So your entire team that's going to be building this. So your developers, your testers, your analysts, anybody, designers that's working on that team for that iteration, whatever you have, they're going to come together and they're going to agree to a set of items that you've made ready, because you're a good product owner and you prepare.
You're the best product owner.
Sometimes too far ahead, Kim, but maybe not.
Run like the wind.
Run like the bullseye. So the entire team's going to get ready, agree to a set of ready items to complete for that iteration, whatever you're doing, that specific 2-3 week period. That's what they're going to complete. So that's the goal of it. And we'll go through a little bit about how each member of that triangle contributes. But again, the focus that we're going to have is on the product owner, but we want to talk about the other areas just to make sure everybody understands, and so we get them covered.
Now, why is this meeting important, Cory?
So this is where the team tells you as the product owner, yes, we can accomplish those things, or no, we can't accomplish those things. And we feel good about it, or we don't feel good about it.
Right.
So that's what we're looking to get from it. So the team is this is where the team meets to break down those stories into individual tasks. So development tasks, testing tasks, design tasks, anything that they have to do to complete that story, they're going to write a task. And typically that task is around 2 to 6 hours. We don't want 24, 36-hour tasks.
Right. We want those tasks to be small enough to be done in the day.
But it's up for the team to decide with the ScrumMaster. But ideally, if I'm seeing 24, 36-hour tasks, I can't tell if work's going to get done.
It's too big of a task.
It's too big of a task.
It needs to be broken down smaller.
Yeah. So they're going to break that down. They're going to understand how the work is going to get done. And then the team is going to ask questions of you, the product owner, to understand how something's going to work or what you meant by something in a story.
And that's a key point, right? The product owner needs to be in the room so that you can answer the questions that the team has.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than them. They're in the middle of their planning session. They have all these questions and they look around and where's the PO?
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
Yeah. He's not engaged.
He's not engaged at
Or
all.
she's not engaged.
Right. I mean, you can just bring your laptop in, do some work, hang out, and just be there on the sidelines.
Yeah. And then the Scrum Master or the coach, the Agile coach, is going to be there. They're going to make sure the outlines are set. So they're going to make sure the dates are set for the sprint, that everyone understands who's going to be there, make sure they go through the planning exercise of, how many hours do we have for this sprint? Who's going to be on vacation or anything like that?
What holidays are coming up?
Yeah.
Yep.
Any issues? So if you have new team members on the that's going to be working with you, do they have machines set up? Is there any issues with meetings that are going to come up? And then any updates. So if the team has decided in their retrospective that they want to change something or they want to start doing some type of documentation or some type of testing, the Scrum Master or the coach is going to bring those things up in this planning meeting and go, okay, guys, here's what you said you were going to do. Are you going to actually do that this sprint? Or how do you accomplish that this sprint? So the team and the Scrum Master are going to be there, and they're going to be doing lots of things. And then the product owner is, of course, what we're going to do.
So you know what I love about this meeting in particular is that the product owner, myself, we're on the sidelines and we're just observers. And it's really cool to watch the team engage with each other and really figure out, okay, in order to get this work accomplished, these are the necessary tasks. This is what we have to do. And sometimes they argue about it. Sometimes they go back and forth, but most of the time they'll come away and they'll be able to say, okay, looking at this, it does take us this long to do it. And it's just great to watch that collaboration occur.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So our role as a product owner, it's up to us to define that sprint goal. So we walk into the meeting, we should know what are we trying to achieve during the sprint. And it's our job to communicate that goal and motivate the team and explain to them, we need to do this. This is the reason why. Go team, go. Mm-hmm. That's exciting.
I like that.
So another thing we should do is have our stories ready. Preparation. Okay, if you walk into a planning meeting as a product owner and you don't have any stories ready, you need to cancel that meeting, go back to your desk, get your stories ready, and then reschedule your meeting. So your stories need to be ready. You probably want to have them pointed out to about the normal velocity, and then include some extra stories for stretch just in case.
Yeah, and typically what I'll do is I'll put the stories on the wall, walk through them, and then say if anything has changed on those stories. So did we learn something else about that story, or did something else change from the time we groomed that story or reviewed that story last and today? And if not, then great. If so, then let's talk about that now.
And that's a good point. You also want to put them on the wall in priority order.
Yes.
Right. So your most important stories come first.
And there is one most important.
Just one.
And there's one.
You can't pile them on top of each other.
There's not 5 highs.
So it is our job this will be, again, the third time that they see the stories.
Yes.
Because they've seen them during a quick overview. Mm-hmm. They have talked about them during grooming. And now it's the third time they're seeing them at planning. Right. So they should be very familiar with what the stories are at this point.
Yep.
So it's up to us to walk those stories, explain what they are, and then sit back and wait.
To answer questions.
Yeah. Staying in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to kind of listen because they're going to talk about Java classes, and they're going to talk about not release strategy, but they're going to talk about continuous integration things. They're going to talk about things that I, as a non-developer, don't really understand, but I can start to hear where there might be a problem or where there might be an issue when they start tasking one particular thing out or one particular screen or rule or something. I can see they're spending a lot of time in that. Maybe I need to listen a little carefully or ask some clarifying questions of them. So you're going to answer their questions that they have. You're also going to listen for those potential issues. Any news stories that they talk about. So they may come up with something in a story that you think or that is not part of that story that you've got on the wall, but that needs to be its own story in the future. So take notes, write a new story, develop it later, implement it in a future sprint.
I do want to point out just real quick, we talk a lot about development, but there's also the quality people, the QAs. Yeah. So they have a say in this as well, because they'll have tasks for, writing test automation scripts or writing manual testing, regression tests, whatever it is. But they also are part of this. It's not just development and coding. It's QA test effort as well.
Right. So, and of course the coach and Scrum Master will make sure that the test tasks get on the wall. The team should be doing it firsthand. And if the Scrum Master and coach, should be there, but you're there as well to just make sure everything gets on the wall. And one thing I always ask when the story's up on the wall is this everything?
Right.
Right. The Scrum Master typically does a fist to 5 or a confidence level, at the end of that. But I always want to make sure that that's done.
Now there's been a question in the past that I've heard about when it comes down to writing tasks and figuring out how many hours it's going to take to do the task. You may have one senior developer and maybe it will take him 2 hours. And then you maybe have a junior developer and it will take that person 4 hours. So what do they do? And my response is always go with the average developer. Don't write your numbers based upon the rock star or the one who's brand new to the group. Go with the average.
Yeah, I think having people pair up to do those things is a good idea.
That's exactly right. It's not an independent task.
Right.
I don't sit there and say, okay, this is my story and these are my tasks and I'm awesome and I'm going to put all the numbers, all of these hours are going to be my hours.
Yeah.
It's a team effort.
Yep.
Good point, Kim.
Good
Patting myself
point,
on the
Kim.
back.
There you go.
Thank you.
One thing I always like to do when I'm looking at this is figure out how I'm going to accept these stories. So which story looks like it's going to be done first? Which story can I accept? How am I going to accept that story? I know I'm going to look at the acceptance criteria, but is there going to be an environment that I can test this in? Am I going to have to get somebody to run this for me? Is it something I can do myself? But basically plan out, okay, this story looks like it'll finish first because it may be a lesser priority story, but it may be a smaller story. So your first priority story may be an 8. This story may be a 2. They may be able to knock that one out first in the next couple of days. Accept that story first. Great. Go on. So look at how you're going to work through the sprint with story acceptance.
That's a good point.
So that's what you do.
Those are all the do's.
Those are all the do's. Those are all good do's. And these are all the don'ts. So there's some things I saw in some articles about questions product owners were asking about or things that they said product owners did to them, to their sprints or their teams.
Bad product owners?
Yeah, bad product owners. They are out there, Kim.
I can't believe that.
There's bad product owners.
The ones that don't have retrospectives.
So one of the things is don't cram your sprint in the planning meeting, right?
That's true.
Don't go above the velocity.
Don't expect them to automatically be able to do so much more work.
Yeah. Don't go in there with, okay, this is how much work you guys have to get done in the next 2 weeks. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that
or
person.
That girl.
Nope.
Or that person. Yeah. Again, we talked about it last episode about your velocity calculations. That's what we're doing that for, so we can plan the sprint accordingly. We're going to have stretch stories, to be sure, that we'll put on the wall. And if the team can get to them, great. But they know what they are ahead of time. But we're not just going to shove everything into a sprint.
Right. So real quick before we continue on with the don'ts. So once the team has defined their tasks, I don't think we really kind of wrapped this up yet. Once they define their tasks, then it's up to the ScrumMaster or the coach to figure out what their commit level is. So they'll kind of walk the wall, essentially, and they'll say, okay, maybe they'll stop at the 5th story in and say, okay, can you guys commit to this? And they'll say, yeah. And then go to the next one. Can you commit to this? And then they'll get to a point where the team says, nope, we can't commit. We're done. And then you'd want to pull in the last couple of prioritized stories as your stretches.
Right. And those don't go on the board initially, but they are around.
They're on the side.
They're on the
sidelines waiting to get into the game.
Right. Okay. Some more don'ts. Don't walk in there with a story they haven't seen before. So don't walk in there with a story that's been ungroomed and say, you guys have to do this too.
Guess what? New story. You've
Surprise!
never seen it before.
Stories.
No surprises.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't, again, Kim said it. Yay, Kim. Don't skip this.
Don't skip this.
This is one of the most important meetings you can be in.
It's such a good meeting for all.
Because this is the kickoff. This is go. We understand what we're doing. And if the team doesn't understand where they're going, what they're doing, it's most likely your fault as the product owner. So you have to get this right and you have to do it. So make sure and it's best when these things, just like the other ceremonies that we have, our demos, our retrospectives and our planning and our stand-ups, these should be, I know when this happens every start of the sprint, it rolls around the same time. So I can plan the rest of my day around it or the rest of my week around it because this is one of the most important things.
It's reoccurring.
Yeah.
Like every other Thursday or whatever, however you want to do it.
Another thing, the product owner shouldn't be doing this, but really nobody should be assigning tasks or stories to individual developers. They should be signing up for these things on their own. They should be working together, should be pairing, but don't you as a product owner say, I want Dave to work on this story and I don't want Janice to work on it because I am the product owner and I say so. You don't get that choice. You just say, I know Dave and Janice are going to work on this story, so I'm going to go talk to them.
Right. Let them pull.
Yeah.
That's right. You don't push.
Nope.
You let them pull.
That's right. Okay. And now for tips. So one of the things I really like to do, is we built our roadmap. We're going to show that at the beginning of the sprint plan. So the team knows how this plan fits into the larger roadmap. So they can see, okay, this is what I'm focused on for the next iteration. And I see how that's going to be affecting the larger scope. So I can see where I'm headed.
That's always good. And of course, be prepared.
Yeah.
Tip, be prepared.
Yeah. Walk in there ready to go. Don't show up when it's time and then start putting stuff on the wall.
Right. Exactly. Get there early.
Yeah.
Put your stories up. Know your stories. Be ready to talk about your stories and then sit back and hang out.
Yep. If it goes long.
Define long.
2 hours.
Okay.
If it goes long, take a break. Come back to it. If you need to plan some stories and then come back tomorrow and plan more stories, do that. Don't beat up the team with planning. This is very frequently what happens with new teams. When they form and they're planning, their planning takes hours and hours. The first planning meeting I had took 4 days.
4 entire days?
4 days. 32
hours?
Yeah. It was brutal.
Oh, that hurts my head.
And I tell you the reason why. It was my fault. Or it was partly my fault.
You weren't prepared, were you?
Well, there was no preparation. And we were in there grooming, writing stories. We were tasking out stories. We were doing all that at once. And it took 4 days to get through until we had something. Everybody was burned out. I think we all wanted to beat each other up. But yeah, plan ahead, groom your stories so that your planning can go smoothly, because your planning is just about, here's what we're going to do, task it out, get started.
Right. So it's also important to, as a PO, we should be flexible and we should be ready to negotiate or eject stories if need be.
Yeah.
We don't want to make this a habit, of course.
No, but
you know,
be flexible.
Yeah, we have to be flexible. You can't just put your foot down and, no, it's my way or the highway.
Yeah. And that's where it comes into, if they're talking about a story and they're getting into, well, what about this? Well, what if we did this? That's where you listen to, is that part of the story, or does it need to be a new story? Or is it something where they learn something? And again, did the story change, or did their understanding of it change? If it did, then you negotiate on how to get what you really want out of that story into the sprint.
Right. I like when they do that, because it shows that they're thinking, shows that they're engaged, and that they're actually a part of the process.
That's the collaboration. That's what the story is there for. It's to spark that conversation between the developers, the testers, the product owner, to say, is this what you really meant by this? And what about X or Y? Great. And then, so after all the tasking is done, the Scrum Master or the coach should get a good verbal, commitment is a loaded word, but a good understanding. The team understands what they need to get done, and they feel confident that they can finish that work.
Fist to five is the way to go.
Fist to five is a
I
good
love
one.
Fist to five. We do Fist to fives for everything.
I'm going to lunch.
Fist to five?
No.
It's
twos.
Anybody want to go to lunch? Fist to five?
So when they do pull down the task, or they write the task, we want to make sure there's not somebody that's doing something off the board. So everybody needs to be able to have a task that they're going to be working on when they leave the room.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to make sure that there isn't duplicate tasks.
Right. Duplicate or zero.
There should always be something that needs to get done on a story. If not, then we don't need you to work on it, because it's already done.
That's right. That's right. And then there's excuse me. Then there's a question of, should the product owner have tasks?
I say no. We have enough tasks.
I don't think so. I mean, again, the role of the product owner is to decide what and when, not how.
We have a column. It's called PO approval. That's my task.
Yeah, I will do that. There's some things like, okay, well, we need to write a document to support this feature for support, or to, how are we going to do this for marketing? Is that a task?
Is that going to be part of the definition of done?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's up to the team. I've never had tasks.
I haven't either. I don't want to say you can't. I just say it's unusual.
It's unusual.
Yeah.
So here's the thing too. Not every company does planning. Not every company uses tasks.
Okay.
Okay. So for companies that don't, planning is difficult because you're not actually going through this process. I work for a company that doesn't. They don't task out their stories.
Oh, wow.
It's just the way it is.
Okay.
It doesn't make me happy.
Is it more Kanban-like where it's just a flow system and you don't really plan out the things? It's just whatever's the highest priority they take and plan at that point?
Not really.
Okay.
So they'll work on their stories without actually tasking the stories out. So it's usually, one developer working on a story, for example.
Oh.
Yeah. But that, again, not everybody is going
That's
to be
true.
doing perfect Agile all the time.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about for companies and situations where the PO doesn't have these things. They don't have the luxury of having planning sessions. What do you do? So what I do with my team is I get them together, we look at the stories, and we do a commitment on the high level without really tasking it out. It's not ideal. I love my tasks. I can't do them because it's just not something that's bought in. Again, we have 17 teams, not one team does tasks on their stories. I did on my last team because I made them, but it didn't go along very well.
I'm like you. I prefer tasks.
I prefer
I can
it as well.
see, again, it's about, okay, there's a story. There's 5-6 stories on the board, whatever. The point of the task is so I can see progress on that story. If there's a story up there and it's up there for 4 days and nothing moves, then I don't know how it's going.
And you don't really know how much effort's left on it. Maybe they're 80% of the way done.
Yeah.
You don't know.
And when you see those little tasks come over, and one of the things I really like doing, and the sprint planning helps that, the stand-up does too. But when I start to see 1 or 2 more tasks remaining under a story, I can start going, hey, can I look at it? Can I try it out?
Right.
Can you tell me about it? So that when it's ready to accept, I can, right there, I'm done and the story's done.
I don't disagree. I love tasks. I wish I could do tasks right now, but I can't. But that's okay. And again, not every PO has the luxury of having teams that
That's true.
create tasks. So if you don't, at least still, talk to the team, show them the roadmap, explain to them the sprint goal, and get a high level commitment based on your stories.
Right. There you go. And I'm going to link to an article from Leading Agile that's got a cheat sheet to sprint planning. So some of the material we've got is echoed in that. And then again, we're focused on the product owner side of that. So, you're there to present, you're there to answer questions,
Support.
You're there to support the team. That's exactly right.
Be the supportive team member.
There you go.
Yay.
All right.
So if you have any feedback or any questions about the PO space, let us know. deliveritcast.com on Twitter, at deliveritcast, and email us at deliveritcast@gmail.com.
There you go. And we don't have a question this week, but I did pull something that I thought was interesting.
I do see a sticky on the monitor.
I have a sticky.
I can't read your writing. I don't know what it says. I've been eyeing it though, in the corner of my eye. I'm like, what does it say?
Okay. So this is a question that was asked in one of the LinkedIn groups.
Okay.
That says, what do you wish someone had told you before you became a PO?
Oh.
So before I hired you, what do you wish someone would have said? Not about me, but about the role.
Oh, that's a tough one. Can I think about that while you answer the question? Because I know you've been thinking about this.
Sure. Okay. So one of the things that I wish I did better before I became a PO is the teaching of others about the process and the things and the value that we're doing. It's taken me a while to come around to, I'd stop talking about process, stop talking about the things that we're talking about for the most part, the sprint planning meeting, the stories. The business users don't care for the most part about your process, about your stories, about anything else. What they care about and what you need to sell them on is the value that they're going to get out of this. So start talking about faster, better deliveries. Start talking about better quality deliveries. That's what I should be teaching. And that's what took me a while to come around to doing that instead of focusing on that first. I was so enamored with the processes and thinking that there's no better way to do this. And I still believe that, But that's not what business people want to hear. So that's my answer.
That's a good answer. Can I steal your answer?
No.
All right. But you actually touched on something interesting is that, as product owners, we're essentially salespeople because we do have to explain and sell what we've done and justify what we've done and why we've done it that way. That's something I wasn't quite aware of when I came into the PO space. I just felt like I'll just take direction, do what I need to do and walk out the door. But there's so much more to it. And it's stuff that nobody talks about that you just kind of learn when you fall on your face and you go, oh, shouldn't have said that. That was not a smart thing to say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess I wish I would have had more of the soft skills that I knew I didn't know that I needed.
Yeah. The justification is an interesting thing because they're going to say, we need to do this. You're going to say, well, we really need to do this first. And you have to tell them why. You have to sell them on the fact that, we have to spend time, that 20% time, right? We have to spend time making sure our continuous integration systems work instead of building feature X, because if we don't have this continuous integration systems up and running, then we can't get that release out the door when you want it, or it'll be crap when it goes out. So feature X will come later.
It comes down to, for me, saying no.
Back to that.
Back to saying no. I wish I would know that I need to say no.
Yeah. Okay.
I probably wouldn't have taken the job.
And the history of the world would have changed
dramatically.
Dramatically. That's right. No. Okay.
That's an interesting question, though.
Yeah, I like that.
Next time I'd like to read the postie before.
No.
You're the worst.
Here's an idea. You can write your own postie.
I don't want to write my own post. Okay.
All right. Fine. Any other
final
thoughts? Yeah.
No. I think we're good.
Plan your sprints.
Best
you can.
Be there for your team.
Preferably with tasks.
Support them. Use your tasks.
Use your sticky
notes. Support the Post-it industry.
That's right.
Love my sticky notes.
I do too.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to play.
Cue the music.
That music.
Ooh.
And I'm going to flip over and say that
Don't flip over, Cory.
These words are our own and are not endorsed or representative of any organization or company yet.
Still waiting.
Yeah. I didn't change the outro. I hope that's okay.
That's fine. You keep it just as it is.
You can find me at @iscoreybryan on Twitter or infrequently blogging at don'tyellme.wordpress.com.
And as always, I can be reached through the show contact info.
We just delivered episode number 11.
11. Look at us.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Don't flip over.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.